Joanna, and namaste to all my friends and colleagues across the world. One good thing which has come out of the pandemic is the fact that we Indians have been reminded of our age-old tradition of greeting with a namaste, which is not just humble, but more importantly, also considered safe as there is no touch involved. uh, in the next few minutes, I'll be taking you through what opportunity India throws up for investments, but also, more importantly, how one of the largest economies in the world, which is India, has been um, affected by the pandemic, and more importantly, how quickly, we've all coming out of it. One deep realization that the pandemic has made us realize is that we are a very self-reliant country, unlike some of the other emerging markets in the world, which are export dependent. We have a large domestic population, and one of the key factors which has helped India come out of the pandemic is the growing domestic consumption. From quarter 1 of this year, when we had the great lockdown, and India was one of the worst hit major economies in the world. I think it's important to mention that the complete lockdown lasted over 2 months and extended to the first 6 months, from April to March. But when the lockdown was initiated, the COVID cases in India were just 500. So yes, it may have been a little preliminary than what all of us expected. The fatalities were in single digits, but I think what it did for us was that it just stopped the chain from growing. Cut to today, we had perhaps one of the best recoveries in the world, the largest vaccination drive in the world, with already 2 million people vaccinated. The current daily average for India of COVID cases is just about 13,000. And in terms of active cases, it's about 175,000. So that's, for you, a quick statistic in terms of where it started and where we are today in terms of the effect of the pandemic. But quickly getting on to, GDP, frankly, numbers are numbers. But I think, what is more important is the fact that, yes, we've beaten a lot of forecast in terms of negative growth for this year. From the latest statistics which are available, we will probably have around 0.6% uh, growth over last year. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So yes, a zero point 0.6 growth. When we looked at the numbers in the first half of the year, until December, actually, the predictions were that India will probably have between 10 to 11%. But I think we will probably now end up with just a 0.6% growth over last year. But I think what is more important is really the future, where we will need to get to is that India, for the first time in 2021, will probably have a double-digit growth of 11 to 12%. These are as per both IMF projections, Nomura projections, and some of the leading economists. The National Statistical Office of India predicts that the next year will be between 9 to 11% GDP growth, and largely this growth will come out of domestic consumption. Exports currently continue to suffer, but we've seen that one of the key elements for the growth and recovery has really been the domestic consumption, and that will continue to rise. Can we have the next slide, please? The Prime Minister Modi, since a couple of years, and I think it's only gone aggravated since the pandemic came in, that has been talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is a Hindi term basically meaning a self-reliant India. There are certain pillars to this. There is economy, there is infrastructure, there's technology, there's demographics, and then there is demand. What the self-reliant campaign essentially does is that puts money in the hands of the people who will be spending that money, but at the same time working around the essential areas which need to be worked on, which is land, labor, liquidity, law. I'll be touching upon certain of these elements in my presentation going forward to tell you what key reforms are being made in India, just to make sure that the impact out of this is towards having an integrated global chain, but more importantly on ease of doing business, not just for domestic companies, but also for companies coming into India. And towards the next slide, we will also have how India has progressed in terms of doing business in the last half decade or so. What this will really do to the economy, as I mentioned, that the key objective, which is to build a self-reliant India, and of course to spur growth. A self-reliant India, I think that its importance is more than ever. Uh, the world continues to suffer from the pandemic, in certain places more, in certain places less, but it is a time that India has realized that we need to concentrate on the growth aspect of the domestic consumption. As per the statistics available, India will probably have a share of 17% in the next half a decade or so, as far as the global consumer spending and consumption is concerned. Can we have the next slide, please? Uh, as I mentioned, one of the worst hit economies, we had a lockdown with just 500 people affected from the virus. But I think the government, Prime Minister, under Prime Minister Modi, was quick to react in terms of stimulus package. The finance minister in late March, early April came up with a 22 billion package. This package was more around deferring tax deadlines, deferring statutory deadlines, so that people do not have the burden of at least paying taxes to the government. The second important element, which contributed a large part of the stimulus package, was around giving moratoriums to both retail borrowers as well as corporate borrowers, so that money is utilized primarily for to make sure that people do not lose their jobs, and of course to make sure that the corporates have enough money to run their operations, especially the ones which were in essential commodities, which were not affected by the lockdown, so that the economy at least continues to maintain its momentum in terms of growth. There were specific loans which were sent out by the government, who were really affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The government made sure that the key sectors of the country, which is around the MSMEs and the SMEs, which are small to medium sector corporates, have enough money to make sure that they run their operations. With that, there is another 36 billion package which will soon be announced by the government. We saw snippets of it in November. A large part of that will also be announced as part of the budget, which will be rolled out by the finance minister in February of 2021. And perhaps it is said that this budget will hopefully be one of the best budgets that India has ever seen. It will be both from an inbound perspective to make sure that the domestic economy keeps running, but also from an outside in perspective to make sure that we make the country very attractive for foreign investments, and to make sure that the country has an important role to play in the global trade. Uh, can we move to the next slide, please? Certain key sectors, I think, God has been kind. Besides giving us the pandemic, it has also made sure that for a country like India, where agriculture is one of the key elements on which the economy is dependent, the country had a fairly good monsoon. And that is one reason that we've seen that the GDP growth quarter on quarter between quarter one and quarter two, agriculture was not affected at all. In fact, it's on a growth path. To a certain extent, there were certain other sectors which were affected, especially services, especially around hospitality, real estate services. But one of the key sectors, which is manufacturing, was to come up quickly. And from a 40% negative growth, we had a 0.6% growth in quarter two. There was further growth in quarter three, and hopefully the manufacturing sector will be back on its feet in quarter four, laying down a platform for 2021, to make sure that at least growth is coming from the certain key sectors which are around infrastructure and manufacturing. Also, I think one of the insights from the pandemic has been that the definition of technology, the definition of infrastructure rather, for the country has completely changed. Infrastructure was always referred to as brick and mortar, but the new infrastructure is actually the technology when it comes to information highways, when it comes to telecom, when it comes to various aspects of working from home. Telecom was never really considered a core infrastructure thing, but we've seen that it's not just about optical fibers. It's really about the information highways that will be created to make sure that the country has adequate and appropriate technology to meet the growth prospects coming in the next few quarters. Can we move to the next slide, please? Certain signs of recovery, as I mentioned, that there was growth already, which was witnessed in the October of this year. The consumer retail inflation was at 7%, which was uh, a pleasant surprise because with this so much increase in consumer spending, the government made sure that the retail inflation is in check. We've also seen the consumer spending contracted by 12 to 13% in 2020, but will expand to about 66% in 2021. The rupee gained value in terms of other major currencies of the world. The oil prices were kept in check, and of course, one of another key elements, a very important aspect of the country's growth, the auto sector. We saw an unprecedented increase in domestic sales of passenger vehicles, and what is predicted for the next few quarters is that the country will see an unprecedented growth in terms of commercial vehicles as well. Next slide. Foreign investment has been one of the key areas for India. India attracted US dollars 30 billion in April to September of 2020, which was a 15% increase from the last year. Of course, one of the key countries continue to dominate the FDI scene, which is Singapore and US. But hopefully, there is a lot of traction from the Middle Eastern region as far as investments into India are concerned. I'm myself aware of at least half a dozen transactions. So hopefully we will see a lot many dollars coming in from the Middle Eastern region into India. In terms of core sectors where investments are being made, of course, manufacturing being one, infrastructure, and the definition of infrastructure, as I mentioned, is extending to technology as well. But really the green sectors, whether it is pharma, whether it is infrastructure, technology included, whether it is mining, whether it is power, and of course, the consumer sector as well, but extending to e-com also, which is the current consumer tech sector. Can you have the next slide, please? A record breaking on the India's stock markets. It went down to 25,000 from the 40,000 that we had in early March. It went down to around 25,000 at the end of March, which was really the beginning of the lockdown. But post that, we've seen the stock markets now reach unprecedented heights to about 50,000 as recent as last week. And the stock market is predicted to touch 60,000 in the financial year for India, which is between April 21 to March 22. Certain sectors which have contributed to the high growth is really been the technology stocks, the auto sector stocks, the energy stocks, and banking companies as well. Anybody who lost money on the stock markets between January to March of last year has not just recovered their money, but made multiple times of that money. And what is interesting is that a lot of foreign direct investment is also responsible for this unprecedented growth. We're seeing foreign institutional investors continue to invest in India, which is definitely a positive factor. Can we move to the next slide? Finally, I think though India has seen when it comes to private equity investments or mergers and acquisitions, which is domestic acquisitions is concerned, both have risen by almost 30% in the country. But what is more interesting is the fact that almost 50% in terms of the value which has come out from these transactions has been in the last 3 months of October to December. We had almost no activity in the first 9 months of the year 2020. But when it came to October, there was unprecedented rise as far as transactions is concerned, both from a foreign direct investment perspective as well as corporate M&A, domestic consolidation, and the increase from last year was about 30%. A little ironical, but probably the best year that India has had in terms of corporate and private equity transactions in the last decade or so. 2020, besides being a different year and India being one of the worst affected countries in terms of number of cases, clocked the highest deal activity. While yes, there was in relation to some large deals in terms of, Reliance's, which is one of the leading industrial houses in the country, the Geo Platforms, which is in the telecom sector. It speaks of the confidence in the Indian economy and demonstrates the strong fundamentals besides the challenges during the year. It's also supported by significant private equity investments, as I mentioned, one of the best years that we've had in the last decade. It's once again a testament to the demonstration of the quick turnaround the economy has witnessed during the present pandemic. And it's evident from the fact that almost 50% of the value came in the last 3 to 4 months. In terms of talking about the outlook for transactions in 2021, a resilient and focused response from economic policymakers has not only led to a sharp resurgence, but has also set the stage for balanced growth for the country and perhaps attract much more foreign investment. The pandemic has put emphasis on business with strong fundamentals, which is both on the top line as well as the bottom line. 2020 will perhaps witness a healthy balance between infrastructure, that being both brick and mortar as well as technology, and at the same time having a consumer focus, which are around technology or allied technology. We may witness some new terms gaining emphasis for India, such as unit economics, profitability, business model, not just revenue model, digitization, problem solving, real world solutions, the Bharat story, which really, and not just the India story, which means that not just looking at the metros, but also looking at the tier 2 and tier 3 towns, which is really where the growth for the next half a decade to decade will come from. Rational valuations, and something which the country is really proud of is smart cities, an initiative by the government of India to transform tier 2 and tier 3 cities into modern and digitally advanced cities for the next decade. So yes, here's wishing for a very healthy 2021 in terms of the transaction activity for India. Can we have the next slide, please? Yes, the next one, please. As I mentioned, I think one of the key transactions which India has seen has been in the retail space as well as the telecom space. We've seen people like Facebook and Google investing in both these spaces for valuations of billions of dollars. As far as the consumer transaction, we had about $3.3 billion coming in, which was a domestic transaction, Reliance buying Future Group, one of the largest consumer players in the country. And on the other hand, we had one of the largest private equity transactions where we had about 20 billion coming into a telecom technology platform of, again, a company of Reliance, which is the Geo platform. Could we move to the next slide, please? In terms of, sectors which continue to attract investments, and I would say that these sectors will be the focus for 2021 as well, will be really the green and the evergreen sectors, which is power, which is mining, which is infrastructure, which is technology, which is consumer, both brick and mortar as well as e-com, and of course, anything to do with pharma. Will continue to attract investments, has done that in the last decade and will continue to attract investments in 2021 as well. Can we move to the next slide? Also, throwing light on what the government continues to do, which is to make sure that, with two objectives: one, to move towards a self-reliant India, and also to have India as the manufacturing hub for the continent, if not the world. Certain very essential reforms which are being worked on and are currently under play. The first, which is around people, around 30 existing labor laws of the country are being consolidated into one, which will not just help corporates be compliant, which will not just help the labor and the people not being aggrieved of anything, but will also work in a very healthy fashion towards ease of doing business, both from a compliance perspective and also from making sure that the skilled force of India works towards the growth of the country. Another aspect of growth is availability of capital. A lot is being done around banking reforms as well, whether it is moratorium, whether it is ex gratia, whether it is resolution frameworks, whether it is towards having insolvency laws, so that companies which are sick can quickly move on to being functional again and being healthy again. Things around production linked incentive scheme, things around duties and taxes, things around offering fields for specific exemptions, whether it is technology parks, whether it is manufacturing parks, to make sure that, which is all towards making sure that the Made in India initiative is something which is of the primary importance. Can we have the next slide, please? Another aspect, we've touched upon labor, we've touched upon production, we've touched upon duties and taxes, we've touched about debt. But another important aspect, which the company is soon to come out with the legislation, will be that Indian companies for the very first time will be allowed to list on overseas stock exchanges. It's a fabulous opportunities for companies in India to not lose their identity as Indian companies and yet access global capital. Grant Thornton as a firm is taking this initiative to our tech clients, to our entire network of pharma clients, to make sure that we tap on these opportunities for Indian companies which are dynamic, which will be the multinationals of tomorrow, to make sure that they access the global platforms in terms of accessing capital and are at par with any multinational around the world. Can we have the next slide, please? Uh, so, a quick one on why invest in India. I think the pandemic has made these elements only stronger. As I mentioned, that there's a huge domestic market with a rapidly increasing middle class, one of the very important demographic aspects for an emerging market. By 2030, it is predicted that this particular middle class will be contributing to 17% of the global expenditure. The country continues to make investments in the manufacturing sector, on the technology side as well as on the infrastructure side. We with net investments of over $400 billion in the first half of the financial year for the country, which is April to September. And also the fact that most sectors are under 100% foreign direct investment automatic route, which means that almost no permissions are required to invest in these sectors. Moving on to quickly on the policy side, the national investment and manufacturing zones have been developed in the country, which is to aid both doing business in India, but particularly with a particular focus on companies who set up base in India for manufacturing and then export to other countries. The corporate tax rate for new companies, which is at 15%, perhaps one of the lowest in the world. And I think finally, the competitive advantage that India has, which is a young workforce, less of dependent population, more of working population, probably one of the highest working populations in the world. And also, both from skilled perspective, from a manufacturing sector perspective, as well as service perspective, because most of this working population is also English speaking language, which is the business language of the world. Can we move to the next slide, please? I think I touched upon this, but really the sectors which will boost the manufacturing sector in India, automobiles. Already mentioned the fact that the sector saw one of the highest sales as far as passenger vehicles in the country. Anything biotechnology, defense, food processing, media, entertainment, pharmaceuticals, renewable energy, oil and gas, all green, evergreen sectors for the country, for a country like India, which is an emerging market. But also, moving on to certain evolved sectors when it comes to sorry, HR tech or education tech or even space technology for that example. Certain sectors which will continue to bear the brunt of the pandemic would be the hospitality sector, which we believe will come back on its pre-pandemic growth rate in about 2 years' time. But real estate, which is also one of the very important sector, has been affected by the pandemic. So while the sector will continue to suffer in the metros is concerned, but for we're foreseeing unprecedented growth as far as the real estate sector is concerned in the tier 2 and tier 3 sectors, and that is largely because the country will soon, if not already, will see reverse migration happening, which is always good because one, it's come out of the pandemic. We've realized that working from home or working from wherever you are in the world, geography is history. Will help aid development of the tier 2 and tier 3 sectors and also tier 3 cities, and also put less pressure on the tier 1 cities. Can we move to the next slide, please? Um, so as far as doing business in India is concerned, on the ease of doing business, under Prime Minister Modi's regime, the country has moved from 134 global ranking in 2015 to now 63. There are still certain aspects that the government needs to work on, which is specifically around registering property, or it is around protecting minority investors, or around enforcement of contracts. There are initiatives in play already to make sure that these things are worked upon, and in about a couple of years we would perhaps see this ease of doing business ranking move down from 63 to in the late 30s. Can we move to the next slide? Uh, just very quickly touching upon, how Grant Thornton India is placed, and of course, being part of the Grant Thornton Global Network, uh, we are focused on the global companies of tomorrow, making sure that we focus both on the government side of things, which is to work with the government on policy initiatives around smart cities, but also diametrically opposite on working with startups, which are the technology companies and will be the unicorns of tomorrow, and at the same time concentrating on the middle and the small manufacturing sector, where really the growth lies to help both from a global perspective in entry into India, as well as helping them with robust compliances and growth within the country. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yeah. Kevin, I will pass this on to you in a minute with just 30 seconds of summarizing thing. So I think India is on a very critical aspects that we've seen a lot of change through the pandemic, but I think we've fallen and quickly learned from all those aspects. The pillars that I was mentioning, as long as the country keeps working on those pillars, and with the objective of making sure that we make India a manufacturing hub for the world, but also look at the domestic consumption aspects, we're hoping for a fantastic 2021, and also an opportunity to work with the world again, with helping us all grow together. That's it from me. Kevin, back to you.